Okay, so chapter 9, number 48 in regular geometry. We're asked to find the value of x in each of these triangles when possible. If no solution is possible, explain why. So, let's see, this first triangle, it's definitely not a right triangle, because if we work with the angles there, we got 180 minus 80 minus 27. This ends up being 73 degrees. Okay, but we can still use the law of sines to find out what x is. So we have the sine of 73 over 10 equals the sine of 80 over x. Let me cross multiply here. So 10 times the sine of 80. That's a printer running out of ink. Okay. So let's see. We have 10 times the sine of 80 is 9.848 equals the sine of 73 times x. So in order to get x by itself, I'm just going to divide both sides here by the sine of 73. So 9.848 divided by the sine of 73 ends up being 10.298. Okay, this one is a right triangle. We're asked to find this angle given these two sides. So this looks like an inverse trig function. If our angle is here at x, 8 is the opposite and 6 is the hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is the sine function. So we're going to take the inverse sine of that relationship. So opposite over hypotenuse, 8 over 6. The inverse sine of 8 over 6 is, let's see, not going to work. Which makes sense because in a right triangle, you can't have a hypotenuse that is greater than the leg. If those two are switched, this would probably work out. But the way it is now, that triangle actually doesn't even exist. So there's no way we can find that angle if the triangle doesn't exist. So we'll say it's not possible because 6 is less than 8, and the hypotenuse cannot be less than the side length. For the next one, let's see, we got a 30, 60, 90 triangle here. So I'm looking at the big one now. So this big triangle here. So if the short side is 6, the hypotenuse is 12. Not that we need that, but it's good to know. And then the long side is 6 root 3. So if this whole thing is 6 root 3, and this piece right here is 5, then this portion right here is 6 root 3 minus 5. I'm going to plug that in my calculator and see what that ends up being. So 6 root 3 minus 5, that is about 5.4. And now we have a right triangle. One side is 5.4, one side is 6. So we can find the hypotenuse by doing the Pythagorean theorem. 6 squared plus 5.4 squared equals c squared. And I'm just going to plug all that in my calculator. Take the square root of what we get at the end to get 8.067. Okay, if you have any questions or comments about how any of those were set up or solved, please feel free to leave them.